This is the Builders Business Success Podcast for builders who want to attract more quality clients who aren't price focused, eliminate cash flow pressure, and get paid for every quote. Here's your host, Mick Hawes.
Hey folks, Mick Hawes, Builders Business Black Belt, with another episode of the Builders Business Success Podcast. A few little things have changed. I mean, we had this last week, the little funny light bulb, but it was over here. And because we've got a new floating light bulb, and I'll prove to you that it's floating. I've got a piece of paper here, and we can put it under there like that. I'm not sure did we see that? We did see that. I thought we'd put a new segment together because we've got a floating light bulb, and it's called Idea of the Week. Because we've got a floating light bulb. Had to use it somehow. So the old personal productivity hack is kind of gone. We'll still do personal productivity hacks. It'll be a good idea, but it's allowed us to broaden our horizons as far as what we can talk about. Instead of it just being a personal productivity hack, it could be all sorts of good ideas. And if you've got a good idea that you'd like to share, something that you have heard from us or from some other source and you've implemented and it worked well for you, love you to share that idea. So you can sort of send me an email, perhaps. You can comment on one of the live streams. So this is our first live stream, even though it's episode 53. And the purpose of this episode, or the focus of this episode, is how to scale your business without the stress, which is pretty exciting. But what also is exciting is we're not only streaming live into the Builders Business Success Forum free Facebook group just for builders, we're also streaming live to Mick Hawes Facebook and Builders Business Black Belt Facebook and Builders Business Black Belt YouTube and Mick Hawes YouTube, and we possibly could even be streaming into LinkedIn. We're just not sure. If we're not, we will be at some stage. So you can participate in any of those formats or any of those platforms, and you could send us a message in any of the comments that are there. Now, we have done a bit of preparation for once too. So if you want to have a chat with us, if you want to talk to us about your business, where you are, where you want to go, what's in the way, and find out where the appropriate resources are, because there is a metric shit ton of resources that we've created over the years that can help you, and they're all over the place in Facebook groups and websites and all of this sort of thing. And if we have a chat and find out what you need, we can point you in the right direction for what is best for you. And so what we've done is that we've put links in the comments in all of those platforms. If you're watching this as a replay or watching it on the blog after it was live, there'll be a button underneath the video you can press to schedule a call, and we can point you in the right direction. So if you're watching us live on any of those platforms, I'd love for you to put in the hashtag live. So hashtag live. If you are watching again on any of those platforms and you're watching the replay, love you to put in hashtag replay so we can find out who's watching where and so forth. One thing that I have forgotten to do, and I'm not sure whether I can do it. I don't think I can do it now, so I'll put it in afterwards. There is another link that if you're watching us on Facebook, you've just got to give the platform permission to get your data. So it's your photo and who you are, so we know who is making the comments. But you've just got to give the platform permission to do that because of all of the privacy issues and so on and so forth. So you've got to give permission to do that. But that's I'll put a link in afterwards which will allow you to do that, and then you can kind of get involved and engaged in the live parts of these podcasts, or the live versions of these podcasts. So what we are talking about today is how to scale without the stress. We're going to also do a Q&A, and of course idea of the week with the new light bulb. It's going to be very exciting. I'm sure you can't wait. So let's fly straight into this and talk about how you can scale your building business without the stress. And I've spoken to a lot of builders over the years, and there is a bunch of you, when we use the word scale, you run away screaming. And I understand why, but I just want to debunk a few myths about really what scaling is. And why often when I talk to a builder about scaling, they just don't want to. I don't want to go anywhere near it. So one of the reasons that might be in your mind, where you might be going, well, there's no point me listening to this podcast because I don't want to scale my business. I want to stay small. Scaling isn't really about the size. It's about the performance. So we'll unpack all of that. So just stay with me and open up your mind to the possibilities and the benefits of this, because there will be, again, a massive amount of benefits if you understand genuinely what scaling is. So one of the reasons that builders don't like talking about or thinking about scaling is that maybe you've gotten bigger before and they've put on more people and they've had bigger jobs and there've been bigger prices on the jobs and so forth. And it got very, very stressful because of everything just got bigger. They ended up having less time. So you would think as your business got bigger, you had more people doing things, you would have more free time. Doesn't work out like that for most builders. And we'll understand why by the end of this podcast. And more often than not, here's the weird thing, revenue goes up significantly, profit goes down, which is a bit silly. So you've got more risk, you've got more work, you've got less time, you've got less profit. No wonder people don't want to talk about it and don't want to have a focus on how to scale their business. And then what has often happened is that they have just gone back, like so many builders I've spoken to, they've had maybe 10, 15 guys, what have you, and then after so many years, they've just gone back to them, sometimes just them and an apprentice, for instance, but they've definitely pared it back and got less people on the team, or they've just gone back to just using subbies and no one on the team because it seems easier if it's smaller. But the problem is, the underlying problem is with all builders that grow is that if the fundamental business model is flawed, the problems expand in an exponential way. And what that means is, let's say you had 4 problems and you probably wish you only had 4 in your current business and it doubled in size. That doesn't mean you'll have 8 problems. It will probably mean you've got 16. That's what I mean by the problems increase exponentially as you grow if your business model is fundamentally flawed. So the key with this is to understand the scale process, and we'll unpack that as we go through today, but not be scared of it and understand that we've just got to make sure that the fundamentals are covered, you're doing them effectively before you start to make it grow, before you make it bigger. So you avoid the problems just blowing out. And that's what's happened to so many builders I've spoke to, and no wonder they go, I don't want to scale. They have been once bitten and they're absolutely twice shy. Now, the thing is, the reason that pretty much every builder I've ever spoken to anyway, the reason that they got started, if they can remember, was that they wanted more time freedom. They wanted to be their own boss, to make their own choices. They wanted to make more money. They wanted to call the shots, pick and choose which jobs they wanted to do and all that sort of stuff, because they felt that they would get more freedom working for themselves than they would with a boss. They would get more money working for themselves than they would with a boss. And as I said, you can call the shots and decide who you work with, who you won't, what jobs you'll take on, what jobs you won't. That is very rarely the case for builders, that they have more time, more financial freedom, and more choice. And particularly if you're going to stay small, getting any of those sorts of freedoms becomes much, much harder, because it doesn't matter how good you are, how efficient you become. There are only so many hours in the day, so you basically do need other people to do the work to give you that freedom. And that throws up a whole nother layer of problems and challenges to be able to manage a team and manage all of these spinning plates. But stick with me. I'm going to show you a way through this. So what's in the way? We've kind of discussed this, but really what is in the way of scaling properly is understanding what real scaling is. And the real scaling is getting that freedom. So as your business scales, it means you can take on more business, more people, but it doesn't add. In fact, it can reduce your own personal workload, and it increases your financial remuneration, your financial rewards. So that's what we're trying to do it for. And if you've got the right model, you can scale it. You can increase without increasing your own workload and the massive amount of problems. Part of the problem is mindset. Okay, because when I think we've talked about this in previous episodes, there is a difference between the mindset of a business owner and the mindset of an entrepreneur. And the mindset of a business owner traditionally is, if something needs to be done, I will do it. And so the business owner tends to grab things and add them to their own list because they care, which is a good thing, because they are skilled, which is a good thing, but they think that no one else cares as much and will do as good a job as they would. And so they tend to take on more, which what the effect that has on your daily action list is it keeps growing and growing and growing. You end up with less time for yourself. You get stressed out, you get burned out, you make poor decisions, which can cost you, can create more of a time load on you and can cost you money as well. And certainly, because you're taking on all of these things, again, there is a limit to how many hours in the day, how much you can get done. So you end up being the bottleneck for your business. That's the key here, is that we've got to shift from having that business owner mentality to an entrepreneurial mentality or mindset. Because the entrepreneur's number one priority every single day is to do something that will contribute to the removal of something off their daily action list permanently. So let me say that again. The entrepreneurial mindset is such that their number one priority every single day is to do something, one thing at least, that will contribute to the removal of something off the to-do list permanently. Big difference. So the mindset of the business owner is, I'll take that, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. The entrepreneur is, how can I delete? How can I get rid of that? How can I just not do that anymore? Or how can I automate it? Or how can I outsource it? Or how can I delegate it? So there are the four things that the entrepreneur is thinking about all of the time, is dump, because that's the best way to get stuff. If there are things, I'll guarantee you that there are things on your list that probably show up daily, if not weekly, that if you never, ever did them again, it would make zero difference. We've just done them for so long. We've hypnotized ourselves into believing that they're important, they're essential, we must do them, because it is now a habit. If you step back from some of those things, you'll find, and if you ask this question, what will happen if I don't do this today? Or if I don't do it at all? There will be things, I guarantee it, there will be things that will make such a small difference. If you didn't ever do them again, just you can not do them and you can start to use your time to do the high leverage things that you know you should do, but you just never get round to. So you should be thinking, dump. Should be thinking, automate is the next one. The next one is outsourcing. And these are all in order of how much it costs. So it costs nothing to dump. It costs very little sometimes to automate because there's so many apps and software out there. You just got to get somebody to be able to set that up for you. But that might be a decent cost in the beginning, but it pales into insignificance after a little while. Then outsourcing is a little more costly again, and the most costly is delegating, someone who's in your team that you are delegating to. That's the most costly of all. In fact, the most costly of all is keeping hold of it yourself. But if you're getting it off your list, that's the order that you should be doing it in. The other thing that is in the way of you scaling is just that past that we've talked about. So don't allow the past to dictate your future, because if you've got a new mindset, if you've got a new model to run your business, so if you've got a proper attract strategy, so all of the things that we've been talking about in past episodes, how to build a proper attract strategy and mindset and philosophy in your business and a culture, how to have a quality client pathway that educates your prospects into becoming a great quality client and gets rid of the people who are inappropriate for you. If you've got those things in place, if you've got the Deliver Plus stuff that we've talked about in place, where you're managing and creating a better team culture with communication and so forth, and procedures and systems. And then finally, the financial management, which we haven't talked about yet. That'll be in a future episode, is the financial management. But if you've got all of those 4 major parts in place, you can now scale because it is a solid business model and you've eliminated all of the common and costly problems which will allow you to scale a business. So, but here's how you need to approach it. And this is absolutely critical as far as scaling. And that is that you've got to use what I call a ratchet system. Not a rat shit system, a ratchet system. And what that means is that you've got to identify certain performance criteria in your business. And for instance, it might be a net profit percentage, for instance. But you can use anything. It could be an efficiency or a productivity goal for on-site stuff. It could be for administration, whatever. But you've got to pick various parts of the business and select an objective, a measurable objective. And knowing full well that to attain that measurable objective, that improvement, you will need to work harder. There's no way you can do it without working harder. Just accept that. So what we do is, here is the current level of the performance, and we need to improve that level of performance. We need to take it from here to here. And we know that our required daily activity is here, and to get this new improved output, we need to lift our activity. But here's the most important thing. Why this performance needs to have a cutoff, a deadline, is once you hit that objective, that measurable objective, all, not some, but all of your effort needs to go to that entrepreneurial mindset of learning how to reduce and completely eliminate your need to contribute to the maintenance of this new performance criteria or performance outcome. And so you go, you improve, but you work harder. Now I've hit it. Now all of your effort needs to go on learning how to dump, automate, outsource, delegate, but get stuff off your list so your required effort on a daily basis comes back down to 0. Not a little bit, not 20%, but 0. So you can then pick something else and you increase your workload and you bring it back down to 0. That's why it's a ratchet system. It's like one of those 4-wheel drive jacks, you know, up here and then this comes down and then the whole thing goes up and then this comes down. And you've got to have that mentality. You've got to develop the entrepreneurial mindset and have very specific, measurable improvement objectives for your business. Get it to that point and then put all of your effort on how to eliminate, remove yourself from being necessary to maintain that new level of performance. So how you do that, you must put time into team. And I've made a note here for myself, TEAM, which means together everyone achieves more. So you've got to put effort into bringing on your team and having higher team morale, better team communications, having the team contribute to improvements in productivity and efficiency and enjoyment and all of that sort of stuff. You've got to put time into that. You've got to put time into procedures, so how to be more effective doing all of these things. And you've got to put time into self, and that means communication and leadership skills. And that is going to lead me into not the next part of the show, but the bit at the end, the new idea where we're going to show you the light bulb and everything, an idea that will help you do those things. Make sure that you've got the time for self and improving all of those things. So I hope that made sense, and I hope that has busted the myth that your head will explode if you try and scale your business. It just means that most people are doing it wrong. If you do it this way and are very matter of fact and measured about it, you can scale your business. Even if it didn't work for you before in the past, it will work for you in the future. And if you want help to unpack this and how this would work for you, what you would need to do first, not everything you would need to do, but what you would need to do first, we're more than happy to help, as I keep rabbiting on about. So please hit one of the comments in whatever platform you're viewing this from. If you're watching it on the blog, there's a button under the video. But whatever platform you're watching it on, there will be a link in the comments. Just click it, fill out a little form, tell us a little bit about yourself so we can be prepared for our conversation, and we'll jump on the phone with you and find out what is the best direction and what is the best resources we can point you towards to get you to where you want to go. So I hope that's helpful. Wow, I've still got a little bit of that, what was it? I had a smoothie that was very aerated. So I've got a fair bit of air in here and it wants to come out. So I hope it doesn't come out while we're doing the podcast. If you're watching us live, give us a hashtag live in the comments on whatever platform you're watching it on. If you're watching it as a replay, I'd love you to put hashtag replay, just so we can get a bit of a sense as to who's watching where and whether you're watching live or replay. A Q&A. There was a question asked just recently, and it was how to keep focused. Now, somebody has just made a comment and said, "Morning, Mick." So morning back to you. I can't tell who it is with this new system. So at this stage, you need to put your name in there as well so we know who it is. And in future, we'll be able to put a link in there so you can click that, give us permission to find out who's putting the comments in, and we can have a proper conversation, which will be exciting. But the question that was asked is how to keep focused. Because there's lots and lots and lots of distractions and people wanting you and ringing you and tapping you on the shoulder and knocking on the door and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm going to cut to the chase here. The key with this are your goals. And most people, it's Stevie O. Hey there, Stevie O. It's so good to hear from you all the way down in there in Warrnambool at the end. Oh, he says it's the start of the Great Ocean Road. That's right. Not the end of the Great Ocean Road. Just depends on your perspective. So the key with keeping focused is that most, particularly adults, we don't have written goals. We've tried it. It didn't work for us, so it's all too hard. And the challenge is that we don't have goals that really inspire us. Now, if you want to go back and find another episode where we talked about the personal success ritual, that is an absolute key process or activity that you can get into that can powerfully impact this. But the key is you've got to have goals that really mean something to you. And even if you are being constantly distracted and interrupted, that is a sure sign that the goals that you have, the objectives you have for yourself and your business are not powerful enough. Because even if you think that you've got goals and objectives that are important, if you are getting distracted, that means at a subconscious level, they're actually not that important. So we need to revisit that and figure out what we really want that gets us up early and keeps us up late with passion. Because here's the old analogy that I use all of the time. If you're on your way to catch a plane, and hopefully we'll be able to still catch planes with what's going on, we'll be allowed to catch them again. You're on your way to the airport. You're only just going to make it in time, and your good mate rings you up and says, "I know you're going to the airport. Can you drop past my flat and feed the goldfish? I forgot to do it." And you're only just going to make it to the airport. You're going to say, "Dude, sorry, I'm only just going to make it. Can't do it. Can't help you out. You'll have to find somebody else." And you go straight through to the airport because missing the flight is so important. You know, you cannot miss that flight. Because you know what it's going to cost you and you know, in time and money and missing out on opportunity and all of that sort of stuff. So you need to have goals that get that sort of focus for you. And I'll guarantee you, when you've got goals and objectives that are powerful and grab you by the heartstrings, you'll be almost impossible to distract, and your interruptions will dissipate and disappear. So, that is the answer to that question. And if you want help, you know what to do. I'm not going to say it again. Yes, I am. Click the link, organise a conversation with us, and we can put all sorts of resources in front of you that can help you with those sorts of things. So here we go. Are you ready, folks? Drum roll. It's time for Idea of the Week. Are we getting a shot of the light bulb? I better do this again while you got the shot of the light bulb so you can see that it actually is floating. No magic tricks or post editing or anything like that. It's actually happening. So here's the idea of the week, and I've got this prop here, and this only arrived yesterday. It's a big clock. Now, in the past, I've talked about time blocking. Time blocking is so powerful. All the things that I talked about with scaling, that you've got to work with your team. You've got to work on yourself with your communication skills and the leadership skills. Everyone goes, yeah, I know. But they just don't get round to it because they give all of the on-site work and what have you priority. And the secret to getting this sort of stuff done is time blocking, just blocking out small chunks of time to do the work on the business. That's the key with this, is you've got to do work on the business. You've got to do that thing that I talked about with having that entrepreneurial mindset where you're always working out how to get stuff off your list. And I found this to be a magnificent tool for time blocks, because with a time block, you've got to have a start time and you've got to have a duration. And this is a really cool little tool for getting that duration right. So if you're going to give yourself a 10 or a 20-minute time block, you simply wind it round here and let it go and listen to what happens. It ticks. And you might think, well, that'd be frigging distracting. Turn everything else off for your 10, 20-minute, 50-minute time block and just have this ticking going in the background. And you think you're at your grandma's place, but you hear this ticking. And it has an amazing effect because of the beats per minute. It's a derivative of 60 beats per minute, and it gets you into an alpha brainwave state. And it's very visual too with this red thing, and you can see the time dissipating. So you turn off all of your distractions. You get one of these bad boys. I think I got it off eBay or somewhere like that. You'll find one, and you've got that noise going. Your phone's off, your email's off. And this is ticking down and the time is disappearing. It creates a sense of urgency. And then once it finishes, guess what? It does this. That signifies that it's all over. And you've got to stop your time block when it does that. And if you keep doing that, it trains you to have this sense of urgency and focus and turn everything off to get stuff done. And if you were to do some 10 minutes, some 20 minutes, some 30-minute time blocks each day on the really important things, and guys and girls, I'll guarantee you that you waste significantly more than 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour a day. I guarantee it. And if you start to do some time blocks, you will be blown away by how much you can get done in a short amount of time. But get one of these bad boys or something like that makes the noise, turn all your distractions off, start to get into your time blocks, and you'll be absolutely amazed at how much you get done. So we're drawing to a close for this podcast. I don't want to go over time, as I always do. So what's the takeaway? In my world, what we've talked about today is your business is a platform for supporting your lifestyle. It's not meant to suck the life out of you. It's meant to give you a life. And it absolutely can if you implement what we talked about in today's podcast. It can be a platform to give you the lifestyle, the time freedom, the financial freedom, and the choice to do a whole bunch of things if you approach it the correct way. So that's it for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it inspired you. I hope it changed your mindset. As I said, I'd love you to give us a call. If you're listening to the audio only podcast, you can go to this website here. You probably, if you're listening to the audio only one, you probably can't see me pointing at it, but go to buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au, hit the schedule a call button, and we'd love to help you out, point you in the right direction with any of the stuff that we've talked about today or on previous podcasts. And you can hit one of the links in any of the platforms that you're watching, either the replay or the live on, or if you're watching the blog, there's a button underneath the video. Love to hear your comments. Make sure you put hashtag live or hashtag replay, depending on whether you're watching it live or the replay, and we'll figure out which platform you're watching us on. So we will be back next week with another Builders Business Success podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Mick Hawes from Builders Business Black Belt. That is all. Bye for now.
Okay, that's the podcast. If you have a question or want to know how Mick can help with your building business, email your request to mick@buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au. Do it now.